Welcome, everyone. Today, you are not just going to listen to another book summary. You are about to unlock a door that very few people ever dare to open. The door to how humans really behave. Not how they pretend to be. Not how they appear on Instagram. But how they truly think, feel, react, manipulate, love, hate, lie. And most importantly, how they hide it all behind a mask. This is not a motivational fairy tale. This is the truth. Raw, uncomfortable, powerful. And once you hear it, you can never unhear it. This book is one of the most shocking and transformational books ever written. It has sold millions of copies across the world. It is used by CEOs, psychologists, leaders, creators, even spies, because it exposes the one thing that controls everything in your life: human nature. Why do people betray you even after you help them? Why do you fall for the wrong person again and again? Why do you sabotage your own success when everything is going well? This book answers all of that, with terrifying accuracy. And here's the warning. Once you understand these laws, you'll see through people. You'll stop being manipulated. You'll stop begging for love. You'll stop wasting time trusting the wrong people. You'll finally understand why the world is the way it is, and how to protect yourself and win in it. If you want to become emotionally powerful, mentally strong, and unshakably wise, then listen to every second of this. Because today, you're not just learning, you're waking up. This video is great for your English because it's filled with simple, powerful sentences, emotional storytelling, and real-life examples that help you understand deep ideas in easy language. As you listen, you'll improve your vocabulary, sentence structure, and comprehension, while learning life-changing truths at the same time. It's not just English practice. It's powerful learning that makes your English and your thinking stronger together. Let's begin. Law 1. The law of irrationality. People are not logical. They are emotional. We all like to think we're rational, that we make smart decisions, that we choose partners carefully, that we buy what we need, that we're calm, balanced, mature. But the truth? We're not driven by logic. We're driven by emotions, fear, jealousy, anger, ego, insecurity, desire. Have you ever bought something expensive, not because you needed it, but because you wanted to feel better or show someone you're doing well? Have you ever sent a text out of anger, then regretted it later? Or stayed in a toxic relationship, not because it was good for you, but because you were afraid to be alone? That's irrationality. And here's the most dangerous part. You don't even realize you're doing it. You justify it. You create reasons. You convince yourself it was the right thing. People don't see the world as it is. They see it as they feel it. For example, if someone is secretly insecure, they might interpret your confidence as arrogance. If someone is angry inside, they'll find a reason to attack you, even if you did nothing. So what's the solution? You must first see your own emotions clearly. You must train yourself to pause before reacting, to ask, am I reacting to what's really happening? Or am I reacting to my fear, my anger, my ego? Let's say your friend doesn't reply to your message for 2 days. You start feeling ignored, unimportant, rejected. But what if they were just busy, sick, or struggling with something you don't know? Instead of assuming, breathe, wait, respond wisely. The most powerful people are not those who control others. They are the ones who have learned to control themselves, especially their emotions. If you can't control your emotions, someone else will control them for you. Law 2. The law of narcissism. Everyone is self-absorbed. The key is learning empathy. Most people think narcissism means someone is obsessed with themselves, always showing off, always needing praise. But that's only the extreme version. The truth is, everyone is a little narcissistic. Why? Because from childhood, we are trained to focus on our needs, our pain, our dreams, our problems. Even when listening to others, we're often thinking, when will it be my turn to speak? How does this affect me? Why are they not paying attention to me? That's everyday narcissism. And here's the dangerous part. When two self-absorbed people talk, no one is truly listening. Everyone is waiting. Everyone is competing. Everyone is focused on themselves. That's why relationships fail. That's why arguments happen. That's why leaders lose followers, lovers lose each other, and people feel unseen. So how do you rise above this? By developing real empathy, not fake kindness, not pretending to care, but training your mind to step into another person's world. Ask, what are they really feeling right now? Why are they acting this way? What's going on in their life that I don't know? For example, someone shouts at you in public. Your instinct is to shout back, defend your pride. But empathy allows you to pause and think, maybe they're not angry at me. Maybe they're angry at their own life. Maybe they've been carrying this pain for years. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you see deeper. You stay calm while they lose control. You understand instead of judging. You influence instead of reacting. In a world full of people screaming, "Look at me," be the one who sees others clearly. Because when you make people feel seen, really seen, you gain power that no degree, money, or beauty can ever buy. Law 3. The law of role-playing. Everyone is pretending. Learn to see behind the mask. We live in a world of masks. From childhood, people are taught, smile even if you're sad. Pretend to like your boss. Act confident even if you're falling apart. As a result, most people go through life performing, not living. In public, someone might seem kind, gentle, and soft-spoken. But behind closed doors, they might be cruel, insecure, or manipulative. In relationships, someone may act like the perfect partner. But deep inside, they might be filled with fear, jealousy, or hidden resentment. This law tells us, what you see is rarely the truth. People become experts at hiding who they are. They smile when they hate you. They compliment you while secretly envying you. They agree with you only to use you later. So how do you protect yourself? By learning to observe patterns, not performances. Watch how they treat people who can't help them, how they behave when they're tired or under pressure, how often their words match their actions. For example, let's say your coworker always praises you in front of others, but whenever you succeed, they suddenly go silent. No congratulations, no smile, just coldness. That's a sign. Or you meet someone who constantly tells you they're honest, but they always shift blame, avoid responsibility, or exaggerate stories. That's not honesty, that's acting. You must become a student of behavior, not words. The goal is not to be suspicious of everyone, but to see people clearly before you give them your trust, love, or time. Most pain in life comes not because people hurt us, but because we believed their mask, not their reality. Law 4. The law of compulsive behavior. People repeat the same mistakes again and again. If you look closely at most people's lives, you'll see something strange. They keep making the same mistakes over and over. They keep dating the same kind of toxic people. They keep quitting when things get hard. They keep reacting with anger in every conflict. It's like a loop they can't escape. This law explains why. People are driven by deep patterns they are not aware of. These patterns come from childhood, trauma, pain, or past habits. But instead of facing them, people keep running from them, until those same patterns destroy their health, relationships, and future. For example, a man grows up feeling ignored by his parents. As an adult, he constantly tries to prove his worth. He overworks, overspends, overreacts, all to get attention. But no matter how much he achieves, he still feels empty. That's compulsion. Or imagine a woman who was betrayed years ago. Now every time she starts to trust someone, she pulls away. She sabotages the relationship before it can hurt her. Not because the person is bad, but because she's repeating a pattern of fear. So how do you break this? You must observe your behavior without judgment. Ask yourself, what patterns keep showing up in my life? What do I keep doing even when I know it hurts me? What am I really running from? You must stop blaming the world and start decoding your own history. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Because once you see the pattern, you can choose to change it. And when you break a toxic pattern, you don't just heal yourself, you heal your future. Law 5. The law of covetousness. People don't want what they need. They want what they can't have. Why is it that people often ignore what's good for them and chase what's out of reach, unavailable, or even harmful? Because desire is not about logic. It's about mystery, distance, and illusion. The truth is, people don't crave what they understand. They crave what they fantasize about. Have you ever noticed that someone starts liking you more when you pull away? Or that a product suddenly feels more valuable when it's sold out? Or that people chase someone who treats them coldly, while ignoring the one who truly cares? That's not love. That's not intelligence. That's the human mind being seduced by what it can't fully possess. This law is seen everywhere. In marketing, limited edition products sell faster. In dating, the person who acts mysterious gets more attention. In careers, the job that seems just out of reach becomes the obsession. But here's the dark side. Once people finally get what they chased, they often lose interest. Because it was never about the thing itself. It was about the chase, the illusion, the fantasy. So how do you use this law wisely? First, don't be too available all the time. If you constantly give everything, your time, your energy, your emotions, people may stop valuing it. Second, create space and mystery. Let people wonder. Let them wait. Let them desire. Not to manipulate, but to protect your energy and create balance. And most importantly, don't fall into the trap yourself. Ask, am I chasing this because it's right for me? Or just because I can't have it yet? True maturity is choosing what's healthy over what's exciting. It's loving the one who brings peace, not the one who brings chaos. It's building a life that's real, not one that just looks good on the outside. Once you understand this law, you'll stop wasting years chasing illusions. You'll start choosing what actually nourishes your soul. Law 6. The law of short-sightedness. People focus only on the present. That's why they ruin their future. Look around you. People want everything fast. Success, love, money, results. They make decisions for today, not thinking how it might destroy tomorrow. This law says most people sacrifice the long term for short-term pleasure. They want comfort now, even if it brings suffering later. Example: someone knows they should save money, but they see a phone they like, a new outfit, a random gadget. They buy it, not because they need it, but because they want it now. Later, when the rent is due or an emergency happens, they panic. Why? Because they chose today's pleasure over tomorrow's peace. Or imagine someone in a relationship. They get bored. They crave attention. They cheat. In the moment, it feels exciting. But weeks later, guilt, breakup, loneliness, trust issues. That's the cost of short-sightedness. This mindset is everywhere. People quit working out after 1 week because results didn't come fast. They give up on their dream because it's taking too long. They stay up late scrolling, knowing they'll feel like trash in the morning. The world tells you, live in the moment. Do what makes you happy right now. But that advice can be dangerous if it disconnects you from reality. Real growth comes from thinking long-term. Ask, how will this decision affect me a year from now? Am I avoiding short-term discomfort that would create long-term peace? Will I be proud of this choice later? Anyone can live for the moment, but only a few have the strength to build for the future. And those few become unshakable. Law 7. The law of defensiveness. People resist change, even when they need it. Ever tried to give someone honest advice, and they got angry? Ever tried to help a friend grow, but they shut you out? That's defensiveness. Humans are not naturally open to change. In fact, most people defend their pain more than they defend their peace. Why? Because change feels like a threat. It means stepping into the unknown. It means admitting, I was wrong. I didn't know better. I have to grow. That's hard for the ego to accept. Think of someone who's always negative. You gently tell them, maybe focus more on solutions. They reply, so now I'm the problem? They push back, not because you're wrong, but because they feel exposed. Or imagine a worker who refuses to learn new skills, even when their industry is changing, even when their job is at risk. They say, I've always done it this way. They're not lazy. They're scared. Scared of failure, of looking stupid, of starting from zero. This law also applies to you. Ask yourself, do I get defensive when someone challenges me? Do I reject new ideas just because they're unfamiliar? Do I secretly fear growth because it means I must let go of the old me? If you do, you're not weak. You're human. But the key is to recognize it. The most powerful people are not those who never make mistakes. They are the ones who can hear hard truths, stay calm, and say, maybe this is my chance to grow. When you drop your defenses, you don't lose strength. You gain wisdom. Law 8. The law of self-sabotage. People unconsciously destroy their own progress. This is one of the most painful laws because it's so real. So many people are not destroyed by others. They're destroyed by their own mind, their own habits, their own fear of success. You've seen it. Maybe in yourself. Someone finally starts eating healthy, then binge eats on day 5. Someone finally finds peace, then calls a toxic ex just to talk. Someone finally starts a business, then suddenly stops working on it saying, I just don't feel motivated anymore. Why does this happen? Because deep down, they don't believe they deserve success. They're addicted to chaos, to failure, to proving a story they've carried for years. I'm not good enough. I always ruin things. I don't deserve a good life. That story becomes their prison. Let's take an example. A man grows up with parents who never appreciated him. He learns to seek validation through achievements. He gets a good job, starts earning well. But now, every small failure feels like an attack on his worth. He starts fearing pressure, avoiding growth. He thinks, what if I fail again? So, without realizing it, he slows down, delays tasks, disconnects from opportunities, until he's right back where he started. That's self-sabotage. And the saddest part? They don't even know they're doing it. They say, I lost interest. I just wasn't ready. Something didn't feel right. But deep down, they were afraid of becoming powerful. So what's the solution? You must change the inner story. Ask, what do I believe about myself that keeps me small? What fear comes up when I start succeeding? Who told me I wasn't good enough? And why do I still believe them? Then repeat to yourself, I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am not my fear. Start small. Keep promises to yourself. Forgive your past self for what they didn't know. And show your future self that they're finally safe. In your own hands. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop getting in your own way. Law 9. The law of repression. Whatever you hide will eventually control you. Almost everyone walks around with a quiet storm inside them. Anger that's never been expressed. Sadness that's never been faced. Shame that's been buried for years. But instead of healing it, people hide it. They say, I'm fine. It doesn't matter anymore. That was a long time ago. But the truth is, repressed emotions don't disappear. They transform. They become sudden explosions over small issues. Cold silence toward people who don't deserve it. Fear of intimacy. Jealousy that poisons relationships. Self-hatred that hides behind perfectionism. For example, a woman who was abandoned by her father as a child never talks about it. She buries the pain, pretends to be strong. Years later, she finds herself unable to trust men. Every time someone gets close, she pushes them away, then wonders why love never lasts. That's repression. Or a man who was bullied in school. He never processed the pain. Now he becomes overly competitive. He always needs to win, always needs to prove himself. Not because he's ambitious, but because he's still trying to silence the voice that once said, "You're weak." This law teaches a hard truth. Whatever emotion you refuse to face will find another way to control you. It may show up in your health, in your relationships, in your work, in your dreams. So what's the solution? Face the pain, but without shame. Sit with it. Talk about it. Write about it. Give yourself permission to say, yes, that hurt me. Yes, I carried it, but now I release it. Healing is not weakness. It's the most powerful act of self-respect. The most emotionally powerful people are not the ones who never cry. They're the ones who cried, healed, and stood up stronger than ever. Law 10. The law of envy. People envy in silence, and it can quietly destroy you. This is one of the most uncomfortable truths in life, but you need to hear it. When you grow, succeed, or shine, not everyone will clap for you. In fact, some will smile in front of you and secretly wish for your fall. And the scary part is, it's not always strangers. Sometimes it's a close friend, a colleague, a cousin, even someone you once helped. Because envy hides in familiar faces. But here's what makes envy so dangerous. It rarely speaks out loud. People don't say, "I'm jealous of you." Instead, they act. They distance themselves without reason. They suddenly become cold, critical, or competitive. They minimize your success. You were just lucky. They copy you, then try to outperform you. Let's say you start working hard, improving your life. Suddenly, your old friend begins mocking your discipline. They call you too serious or boring. But the truth is, your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Or you buy a new car after years of saving. Instead of being happy for you, someone says, "Must be nice." That's not a compliment. That's envy wearing a smile. So how do you protect yourself? First, don't try to please everyone. You're not responsible for how your success makes someone else feel. You can be kind, but you don't have to shrink. Second, watch people's energy, not just their words. If someone can't celebrate you without turning it into a competition, protect your space. And most importantly, look inside yourself. We all feel envy at times. The key is to transform it, not deny it. Instead of asking, "Why do they have that?" ask, "What can I learn from their journey? How can I use this as motivation to build my own path?" When you let envy become admiration, you grow. When you let envy become bitterness, you fall. Choose growth. Law 11. The law of grandiosity. Success can blind you. Stay grounded. This law is for the winners, the climbers, the dreamers who are finally rising. Because here's the secret danger of success. It can make you believe you're untouchable. When things start going well, you start thinking everything you do will work. You stop listening to advice. You take bigger risks with less preparation. You become addicted to praise, attention, status. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become your own enemy. Example, a startup founder builds a successful company. He becomes famous, respected, admired. But now every suggestion from his team feels like an attack. He stops learning. He only wants to be admired. He takes bold moves without thinking, and it leads to collapse. Why? Because his early success made him believe he was invincible. Or an artist who gains popularity. Instead of staying focused on the craft, they begin chasing fame. They stop practicing, stop learning, stop listening. Their work gets lazy, but they don't notice. Because the applause is too loud to hear the warning signs. That's grandiosity, and it's a silent killer of greatness. So how do you avoid it? First, always return to humility. Remind yourself, I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I don't know everything. Second, surround yourself with people who tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. Third, don't confuse confidence with arrogance. Confidence says, I believe in my ability. Arrogance says, I can never be wrong. The higher you rise, the more important it is to stay grounded. Because the most powerful mountain is not the one that rises fast. It's the one that remains rooted, no matter how strong the storm. Law 12. The law of gender rigidity. People are trapped by narrow ideas of masculinity and femininity. Learn to go beyond them. From the moment you are born, the world starts training you. If you're a boy, be strong, don't cry, be aggressive. If you're a girl, be sweet, be soft, don't be too loud. These messages may sound small, but over time, they become prisons. A boy who learns to hide his emotions becomes a man who can't open up, even when he's breaking inside. A girl who's told to stay quiet becomes a woman who can't speak up, even when she's disrespected. This law reveals that masculinity and femininity are not rules. They are energies, and every person has both inside them. Masculine energy is direct, assertive, action-focused. Feminine energy is intuitive, nurturing, emotionally deep. But here's the trap. Most people are taught to reject one side of themselves. They think they have to act a certain way to be accepted. Let's look at an example. A man grows up being told that showing emotion is weak. So he builds a life where he works hard, stays logical, avoids anything soft. On the outside, he looks successful. But inside, he's emotionally disconnected. His relationships suffer. He doesn't know how to comfort others or even understand his own sadness. Not because he's bad, but because he was never allowed to access his softer side. Or a woman who's naturally bold, ambitious, and outspoken. She's constantly told she's too much or unfeminine. So she starts shrinking herself. She pretends to be less than she is. She smiles when she wants to scream. She sacrifices her strength just to feel accepted. This is gender rigidity. So how do you break it? By reclaiming both sides of yourself. If you're naturally strong, embrace your softness. If you're naturally gentle, develop your power. Don't ask, what am I allowed to be? Ask, what part of myself have I ignored? And how do I bring it back? When you stop living in the box society puts you in, you don't lose yourself. You finally meet yourself. Law 13. The law of aimlessness. Without a clear purpose, people wander through life without direction. Look around. So many people are busy. Busy scrolling, busy talking, busy moving from one task to another. But deep down, they're lost. This law reveals a heartbreaking truth. Busyness is not purpose. Movement is not progress. People do what others expect. They study what their parents tell them. They work jobs they hate. They chase money, validation, status, but feel empty inside because they don't know why they're doing any of it. Let's take an example. A man spends 10 years climbing the corporate ladder. He finally becomes a manager. He buys a house, a car, earns respect. But one night he sits in silence and realizes, I don't even like what I do. I don't know who I am anymore. That's aimlessness in disguise. Or a woman who keeps changing careers. She jumps from one passion to another but never stays long. She says, I get bored easily. But the truth is, she's afraid to commit to anything deeply. Because deep down, she never truly explored what drives her soul. This law doesn't mean you need to have your entire life figured out. It means you need a direction, a why behind your actions. So how do you find it? Ask, what would I still do even if no one clapped for me? What type of pain am I willing to endure for something bigger? What breaks my heart? And what am I willing to fix in the world? Purpose doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. You just need to get quiet enough to hear it. Without purpose, time slips through your fingers. But with purpose, every moment becomes powerful. Even the painful ones. Law 14. The law of conformity. Most people follow the crowd, even when it leads them nowhere. Humans are social beings. We want to belong, to be accepted, to be part of something. But this natural desire can become dangerous because it makes people abandon themselves just to fit in. This law says, people would rather be wrong with the crowd than right alone. You've seen it. Someone starts dressing a certain way, not because they like it, but because it's trending. Someone pretends to enjoy something just to feel included. Someone stays silent when something is wrong, because everyone else is silent too. Let's look at an example. A teenager joins a group of friends who mock others to look cool. At first, he feels uncomfortable, but over time, He joins in. Not because he believes it's right, but because he's afraid of being rejected. Years later, he realizes he's become someone he never wanted to be. Or a woman who has a dream to start her own business. But everyone around her says, just play it safe. Get a stable job. So she lets go of her dream. Not because it's impossible, but because she doesn't want to be seen as strange. This is the power of conformity. It kills individuality quietly. So how do you break free? First, develop deep self-respect. You must believe that your voice matters, even if no one agrees with it. Second, spend time alone. Learn to make decisions without needing approval. Third, stop asking, what will they think? Start asking, will I respect myself after this? Greatness doesn't come from fitting in. It comes from standing out with integrity, even when it's hard. The crowd is loud, but your soul is wiser. Follow that. Law 15. The law of fickleness. People change their emotions quickly. Their loyalty is temporary. Don't depend on praise or approval. At some point in your life, you will experience this. Someone praises you today and ignores you tomorrow. Someone supports you when you're struggling, but resents you when you succeed. Someone says, I'll always be there, then disappears when things get hard. This law reveals a painful truth. People's emotions are unstable. What they feel today might be completely different tomorrow. Let's say you help someone when they're at their lowest. They call you their best friend. They say they'll never forget you. But months later, when their life improves, they stop calling. They stop replying. You wonder what happened. You question yourself. You feel betrayed. But here's what really happened. They didn't change because they're evil. They changed because people often live inside their current emotion, not their memory. Right now they feel grateful, they'll act loyal. Right now they feel insecure, they'll attack. Right now they feel jealous, they'll pull away. Even if you did nothing wrong. That's fickleness. Another example. You're doing great in life. People love you, you're winning. But the moment you make a mistake or take a break, the applause stops, the likes drop, the friends vanish. Why? Because most people don't truly love you. They love the version of you that benefits them in that moment. So how do you live with this truth? You stop depending on praise to feel worthy. You stop relying on attention to feel seen. You start building your identity from within. If someone praises you, appreciate it, but don't cling to it. If someone criticizes you, examine it, but don't collapse. Your value doesn't rise and fall with other people's mood swings. Because those who are real, they don't come and go with the seasons. And those who do, let them go. That's not your loss. It's your freedom. Law 16. The law of aggression. People often hide their anger behind smiles. Learn to detect hidden hostility. Not all enemies shout. Some shake your hand while planning your fall. Aggression is not always loud. In fact, the most dangerous aggression is often passive, subtle, and hidden behind kindness. This law teaches you that humans carry emotions they don't know how to express, especially anger. And instead of expressing it directly, they bury it, then let it out in indirect ways. Let's look at an example. You share exciting news with someone. I just got a promotion. They smile and say, oh wow, that's nice. But you feel the coldness behind their words. Later you find out they've been gossiping about you, questioning whether you deserved it. That's passive aggression. It hides behind politeness, but it poisons quietly. Imagine, you have a colleague who always forgets to include you in important emails. Every time you ask, they say, "Oh, I didn't mean to." But it keeps happening. This isn't forgetfulness. This is a silent war they're too scared to admit they're fighting. So how do you handle this? First, stop expecting people to always show their true emotions. Instead, learn to read energy, tone, patterns. Second, when you sense passive aggression, don't respond with aggression. Respond with clarity. Say things like, "It feels like something's off. Want to talk about it? I've noticed this keeps happening. Can we be honest with each other?" Most people won't be ready for that level of directness, but you'll protect your peace. And finally, don't ignore the signs. If someone constantly throws small jabs, makes you feel uncomfortable, or competes secretly, you don't need to prove they're wrong. You just need to protect your space and your energy. Because real power is not shouting louder. It's staying grounded while others try to shake your peace in silence. Law 17. The law of generational myopia. People are shaped by the era they live in, and most never realize it. This is one of the most invisible but powerful forces in your life. You are not just shaped by your parents, school, or choices. You are shaped by your generation, the time you were born, the culture that raised you, and most people don't even realize how deeply it controls them. Let's say you were born in a time of economic success. You might believe that comfort, safety, and enjoyment are your rights, and anything difficult feels wrong. But someone born in a war zone or during a financial crisis may see the world differently. For them, survival, hard work, and caution might be their values. Now imagine both of these people working together. Their decisions, beliefs, and reactions will clash, not because one is bad and the other is good, but because they are shaped by different times. This is generational myopia. People confuse their time-limited beliefs with absolute truth. Let's take another example. Imagine a young man today obsessed with going viral online. He believes likes, followers, and attention define his worth. But he doesn't realize he's living in an era that worships visibility, and that this mindset didn't even exist 20 years ago. Now imagine him 30 years later when social media is gone. His values collapse because they were never real. They were borrowed from his generation. So how do you break free from this blindness? You become aware of it. Ask, are my beliefs truly mine, or were they shaped by my environment? If I was born 100 years ago, would I still think this way? Am I addicted to the trends of today and ignoring timeless values like wisdom, discipline, patience? Your generation is like a wave. You can ride it, or you can drown in it. The key is knowing that just because everyone thinks a certain way right now doesn't mean it's right. The strongest minds can live in their time, but think beyond it. Law 18. The law of death. Denial. Most people live as if they'll never die, and that's why they waste their life. You wake up, scroll your phone, rush through your day, stress about small things, as if you've been promised unlimited time. But here's the truth. No one wants to speak. You are going to die. Maybe in 50 years, maybe in 10, maybe next year, maybe tomorrow. No one knows. But one thing is certain. Every heartbeat you feel is one heartbeat closer to your final moment. And yet, most people live like they are immortal. They delay dreams. They hold grudges. They chase shallow things. They wait for the right time to finally start living. But that right time never comes. And suddenly, it's too late. This law explains the core problem of human life. We deny the one truth that could make us live better, the reality of death. Let's take an example. A man spends his entire life chasing success. He builds wealth, a big house, recognition, but he sacrifices everything for it: his family, his health, his peace. Then one day he gets sick, terminal, final. He sits in a hospital bed and whispers, "I thought I had more time. I thought I could fix it all later." But time didn't wait. Or imagine a woman who's full of talent. She loves to paint. She wants to travel. But every time she thinks about starting, fear holds her back. She says, "Maybe next year. I'm not ready yet." And next year becomes 5 years, then 10. Then one day, the chance is gone. She didn't run out of talent. She ran out of time. Most people fear death because they haven't truly lived. They haven't spoken their truth. They haven't loved fully. They haven't used their voice, their gifts, their heart. They die with everything still inside them. So, what's the answer? It's not to fear death. It's to use it as fuel. When you remember you'll die, you start. Saying, "I love you" more. Forgiving faster. Creating without waiting for permission. Letting go of judgment. Living on your own terms. Doing the things that matter before it's too late. You don't waste time on things that don't deserve your energy. You don't stay in places that kill your spirit. You don't wait to be chosen. You choose yourself. Because now you understand. Death is not the enemy. Living a fake life is. Every time you look away from death, you waste life. But every time you remember death, you awaken life. And when you live like that, you're not scared of the end, because you know you didn't just exist. You truly lived. You've just experienced something most people never do. You didn't just listen to a book summary. You faced yourself. You faced truth. You faced the world as it really is, not how it pretends to be. You've learned how people lie behind smiles, how success can blind you, how envy poisons relationships, how pain you never talk about becomes the pain that controls you, how most people live asleep, waiting, wandering, wasting time. And now, you are no longer most people, because now you've seen through the masks, you've looked into the mirror, and you know the world is not waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting for you to wake up. Wake up to your power. Wake up to your emotions. Wake up to your purpose. Wake up to your voice. Wake up to your limited time on this earth. This was never just a book. This was a mirror. And if you're brave enough to truly look, you'll never go back to who you used to be. And now, if this message touched you, if even one part of this made you rethink your life, your habits, your future, if you felt seen, understood, awakened, then subscribe to this channel. Not just to support the content, but to join a space where truth lives, where books don't just teach, they transform, where words don't just speak, they awaken. This is not the end. This is your beginning. Let this be the moment you stopped living on autopilot and started living consciously, powerfully, fearlessly. Because you only get one life. Don't waste it being someone else. Be the real you. Fully. Before it's too late. Thank you for watching. Now go live the life most people never will.